So we started the academy this week.
Yes, we did.
How about that? How about that?
It's
So,
amazing
What a freaking grind that was.
to get it off.
Holy. So now, like, I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, it's an actual school day. There's legit school happening. It's insane. I'm reflecting back now to in January when I was asked to do this, more or less voluntold. I don't know what I'm doing, right? I got to figure it out. And so obviously it wasn't just me. Like I had a lot of help doing a lot of the building of it, but it worked.
You worked very, very hard.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
It's rolling, man. So
it's a good staff. With my just being on the ice and not seeing all the background, I didn't. This morning you gave me the first tour of the classrooms and the dressing rooms and all that stuff. It's amazing.
It's amazing, man.
Like what they've done to that building is amazing. It's like pro. It's like pro. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, these kids, it's so funny. So I had they don't even know, like they're kids, right? They don't realize how spoiled they are. Like they don't realize what they have, which I don't blame them because they don't know. But I have kids like they're coming up to me, hey, can we get this? Can we get more of this? Can we get more of this? One of them was like, hey, I heard we're gonna have a chef for lunch.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'm like, guys,
you guys play for Detroit Red Wings?
I'm like, how much more do you guys need, man? How much more do you want? So it's funny for the kids that they just don't even know, man. Like they have no idea how spoiled they are to be in that facility, to have the staff that they have and the people behind the scenes doing the work. It was cool to see it actually happen the first day. It's still pretty like stress mode, getting everything sorted out, like the day-to-day operations. Now they're actually in the space and we see the volume and all of that. But man, it's crazy that it's a thing. It's a real thing.
I was asking the coaches, the team coaches, because like, so for anybody who cares, is we have one side of the ice is me and a coach, and it's strictly skill stuff. Like, so we're doing skills and not like, yes, we'll just call it skills, right? So we're working on individual stuff and passing and all that stuff. And on the other side is your team practice. So you got a couple team practices a week and you flip flop. So you're getting the skills, whatever. You flip flop the next day, you got skills, or you have a practice and flip flop. But I was asking one of the coaches today, I said, do you find it odd for yourself to have your team practice at 8:30 in the morning? And they like it's really weird. Like it's a different mindset because that's more like when skill-based stuff takes place, right?
Seriously.
So
sure.
it's different. And so I think I think it was different for the kids too, because they're coming out and they're used to having a skill skate in the morning. So now they have a team practice, so it's a different mentality or mindset. So that's different, but it's really good though.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm really I like we have some good staff. Like typically if I'm on the ice, it's the guys just kind of say they back off and they just move pucks and you know, you get some every now and then you get someone that's a little bit more alpha that jumps in and teaches, but for the most part it's like, okay, Andy does it and we move pucks and he watches everybody. But here it's like I have at least one person on the ice that's, I would say, as engaged as me, like, and I would actually use that word, which is very refreshing. So you can work on what you need to work on, knowing that the other side's very well taken care of. And we collaborate ideas and stuff. It's very, very good. Yeah. Very, very good. I'm very happy with it.
It's exciting to see like how it's coming together. So like through, I guess for like an overview for people that maybe don't know what we're talking about, we were running a full hockey and school academy program now, where kids come, they play for a school team, they do training in the morning, and then they have their school day. So 8:30 to 11, Monday to Friday, we do our hockey training, and then they do class 11 to 4, and it's like regular high school courses, same credits, same all that. So it's meant for like NCAA prep type stuff. So we have different components every day, and one of the more unique elements that I like about it is, like the hockey stuff is the obvious stuff, you know, like on ice, the team practices and skill stuff. You have your off ice where you're training and all that. That's the obvious things, but it's those other components that even the parents don't realize the value of. Like we have Mac does video and like, if you want to call it hockey IQ stuff, like learning about the game. Miles with mental performance stuff. we were talking today about doing a leadership course kind of thing, doing the nutrition and recovery and all that as a conversation with the students. That's where I feel like it's the most undervalued piece that actually is in the program. Even like even the multi-sport thing, like not great to have, but undervalued. Like all these other side things. So I was listening to one. Mac was talking to me about a couple of the parents talking, and like all they're talking about is the ice time. Like all they're talking about is the ice time, and like we come back as the guys that are more professionals in the industry, and we're like, this other stuff, guys, this other stuff is where you're really going to see the engagement and where the learning occurs, and because it's so much more than just on the ice when you get to higher levels. And it's funny, or it's not funny, it's predictable. The younger parents, like the younger players' parents, are the ones that are more concerned about the ice because they don't know what it's turning into. So maybe talk a little bit about some of those other things, the leadership course or whatever, how you're thinking about that, and just some of those other elements that we're bringing into it.
Yeah, I'm excited about spending time doing the leadership course, and we're calling it a leadership course. Um, another term I would call it would be a captain's class, just learning how to lead. And my first class will be on Friday, and it kind of laid itself out today, like because I was going to talk about like if you're going to be a leader, and a lot of kids don't even know what a leader is, right? Like, and if you ask the question, what's a leader? It could be anything from the best player on your team, the loudest guy, the guy that then it could be the guy that does the right thing, or there are various things, and everybody can lead, and you in your own way you have to be a leader, and it's not about taking a team and putting them on your back. That's not what we're talking about. So what I want to get across to them is that they have to be able to lead themselves, right? So if you can lead yourself, so what does that mean? Okay, so like today, Mac, he had his team practice, and there was a couple guys just a couple minutes late. A couple guys didn't have neck guards on, and various things like that. So like that's leadership 101, right? Like you can't be a leader on the team if you're late for practice, right? What's the excuse? I don't understand what it could be, because if it was at 7 o'clock at night, would you be late, right? The guys didn't do their stretch. Well, you did it every other time. Why didn't you do it today? Because it's a different thing. So it's like the mindset of putting yourself in a situation of leading yourself to have your best performance every day. So what I will start with on Friday is like simply that, like this in the smaller, like we talk about like fitness, not, you don't have to go and start the hardest program ever. You go with the lowest hanging fruit and do that successfully, and then you could add, right? So it's the same thing with being a leader. It's like if you can take control of your own life and do things right, the smallest things right, proper, whatever the word is supposed to be, then you become an example. Or you don't necessarily become an example like, oh wow, he's always on time. No one's going to notice that, but they'll notice if you're late. They'll notice if you're doing things wrong. So it's the simple things like, okay, so I've got, in this situation, you have the academy where you start your day off with hockey. So what should you be doing for hockey? You got to make sure your gear's packed, although it's all at the rink, but you got to make sure your stuff is there. Your tape job should be done early. Like the routine should be already set. So if you go on the ice, do you typically stretch? Well, we have a gym or stretching areas or dynamic warm-up areas. Do you spend 10 minutes doing that or 5 minutes doing that? Like something to get your mind into it so that you prep your body. So there's leadership, right? Or do you have to have someone tell you to do that? So that's like a good habit. That's number one. Number two is be on time, right? Be on time and listen. And we just go through those things about that's taking care of yourself, right? And then if you do that consistently, then you can build on that. So that's what we talk about is leadership, is you start with yourself. And then if you do things right on your own, if you can lead your own life and your own, you're never the problem, and you work hard in the practice, you do the drills right. When the coach speaks to you, you're listening and you're responding and all those little things, that then you have the right at some point to say, hey, Eric, hurry up and get ready. Ice starts in 5 minutes. Or you can say, hey, work harder because you're doing the things, or whatever things to help. But if you're not doing things right, you have no right doing that and whatever. So it starts with leading yourself. And then the next thing I would say that I will say on that is the next part of leadership is to use a term that military uses, what is the mission, right? What is the mission? So number one is you're leading yourself, that you're doing things properly, your gear is good, all the stuff like that, you ate well. And then what is the mission? So like the team will have a mission, or is it to win the game? Is it to shut down a team? Like whatever the mission is, your leadership falls in with that. So like mission needs to be accomplished. So everything that you do is about making sure you do your personal best and to follow the mission of that team. That's what leading is, right? Because if you're on your own page, you're doing something else. And then after that, what I'll end up talking to them about is what was I going to say? I was explaining that to the coaches, was that I'm going to have them do what we talk about on the podcast several times, is every single player, their homework for that day is going to be put 5 things down that and it'll be a discussion, but 5 things down on paper that while you're playing is going to equal a good shift, right? So that you're coachable and that you're being productive in your own way. So that'll give the kids a framework of, okay, so if they put down, I'm going to score, I have to score. Okay, that's not a habit, that's a outcome from good habits. So it's like teaching them that if you do habits well, then that leads to success maybe in other areas. So for example, if we write down 5 things and someone says, okay, I got to get a hit every shift, and the coach looks at it. Now the coaches are going to look at it and say, okay, that's a good idea, but the way you play, you've never hit anyone before. So let's maybe make sure that we're aggressive and we cut off hands, or you could make contact or something, but like build on those 5 things so that the coach has something to coach them with and they can guide the kids. So like the first lesson is going to be mostly on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.